It's showtime. What's up, good people, and welcome to the Frank Harris Show. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully, everything is going well. Man, we have some very, very pivotal playoff games today. Knicks, Indiana, Minnesota, Denver. Man, pivotal, two very pivotal games. Knicks, Indiana. I feel like the Knicks are gassed. Tibbs runs these guys in the ground. I've spoken about that at length. A lot of Knicks fans have gone crazy, crazy, crazy about it. A lot of vitriol being spit in my comments and people, going crazy on my Instagram as I speak about the Knicks being done. But I think they're done. If you watched them last game, Brunson looked like he was way, 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 way tired. Hart looked tired. They just looked beat down. Indiana plays fast. And so I got Indiana winning that series. Pivotal game 5 tonight in New York that I think Indiana will win. And then we have the Minnesota-Denver series. And it was funny because all of you people out here in YouTube land or any land, everybody wanted to crown Minnesota the champs too soon. Minnesota, they win 2 games in Denver. Kudos to them. Beating the defending champs 2 times in Denver, and everybody thought the series is over. No way Denver could come back. And Denver, heart of a champion, goes to Minnesota, wins 2 games on Minnesota's home turf to tie the series 2-2. That game 4 game for me was the series. Okay, for Minnesota to give back the ground they gained. They won 2 on the road to start the series. To give those 2 back to the champion, that was it. Game 4, that was it. Anthony Edwards, great, obviously had 44 that game, but that was it, losing that game 4. I think now, Denver wins that series now pretty easily and moves on to the conference championship. And also, in all fairness, I think to get to a championship, you have to get your heart broken. You have to lose, deeper in the playoffs. You have to struggle. Now, while Minnesota does have some experienced players that have deep playoff runs, like Gobert with Utah, as well as Mike Conley. He's had some deep playoff runs with the Memphis Grizzlies in his past. I still believe, and also with Utah as well, I still believe your better players, your 2 best players, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, they have to get deep playoff run experience, understand what it's like to play at that level, lose games, get your heart broken, get a different kind of fire to burn inside of you to try to get over the hump. Look at Denver. It took Denver years and years and years to get over the hump. Denver lost multiple years deep in the playoffs, right? They lost to the Lakers in the bubble, but they were having deep playoff runs and losing. But I think that's what gets the team hungrier. It fortifies the team. The guys get closer. The guys get more playoff experience. They understand what it's like to play deep into the playoffs. So all of that plays a part. I think Minnesota is a team to watch in the future, but I think right now it's Denver's time, and I think Denver will win tonight, and I think Denver then will close out the series. So I got Denver winning that series and winning the game tonight as well. So good. Oklahoma City last night. Oklahoma City last night. Dallas let one get away. Dallas had the game all game long. OKC hung around, and then they got the win at the very end of the game. I still think Dallas will win that series if Luka is healthy enough, but Luka looked off yesterday, and he missed one of the 2 free throws at the very end of the game to tie the game. That game should have been tied. So I felt like OKC stole one last night, but that's probably being in the playoffs. But I still think Dallas wins that series. I didn't want to waste my time talking about Boston and the Cavs. That's a wasted series. Obviously, we know what's going to happen outcome-wise. Boston's going to win that series. So anyway, playoffs is, rocking and rolling. It's a good time to be a basketball fan right now. What a shame that there were so many injuries to pivotal teams in the playoffs like Milwaukee. It would have been nice to see Milwaukee playing late in the playoffs with Dame and Giannis being healthy, as opposed to watching teams like Indiana and some of these other teams that are, okay teams, Cleveland, but not teams that we wanted to see late, even with Philadelphia with seeing Embiid got hurt another team that we would have liked to probably have seen later on. So anyway, playoffs raring. It's a good time now. Again, if you're an NBA fan. But let's talk about this. So in addition to that, we had the lottery, obviously. So right now we are getting prepared for the draft. We had the lottery pick. Atlanta got the number one pick, which can you imagine if you're the Atlanta Hawks? They haven't had the number one pick in like 50 some odd years or whatever it was, some crazy amount of time. And can you imagine getting it this year when there's no distinct number one guy? Right? I mean, Alex Sarr, good guy from France, is probably the guy they're going to take, 7-footer, some skill. But it's crazy, right? When you have years, when a year ago you had Wemby, who we all knew, I said it, that I thought Wemby was going to Popovich, the Spurs. That's the international team. The NBA loves Popovich. I knew Wemby was going there. He wanted to play there. Tony Parker, his countryman, French guy, played there. A lot of other French players played there. A lot of other European players played there. So they had the culture for Wemby. So I figured that Wemby would go there. Now Atlanta gets the pick this year. What a shame, right? And I'm gonna do a whole segment on the draft. But what a shame to get the number one pick and not have a franchise caliber player there for the taking. I mean, even a guy like Paolo Banchero, great player. A couple of years ago, Orlando got him cornerstone franchise player. And then obviously we've had drafts where you got the LeBrons of the world. You've had obviously Wemby, where you get no-brainer number one guys who are cornerstone players who come change franchises. I mean, you also have guys like Markelle Fultz who become bums, right? So it can go either way. But what a shame if you're an Atlanta Hawk fan to get the number one pick and there's no high caliber, clear cut number one franchise guy in his draft. Poor Atlanta. So what happens now? Do you package the pick with, DeJounte Murray and Trae Young and try to get something bigger? We'll see what happens. Again, we'll do a whole draft segment, but I just wanted to lament. It must suck to be an Atlanta Hawk fan right now. And then let's talk about, as we talk about the draft, the combine is going on right now, right? In the combine, twofold. They bring these players to Chicago and they measure. Some players only measure. They do the vertical leap. They do the shuttles where they run into, with the cones, and they also shoot jump shots against nobody. They shoot these jumpers. And then the next day, everybody's commenting on who did so well at these measurable events. And then after the measurables, some players are brave enough to play in the 5-on-5. Okay, some players are brave enough to play in the 5-on-5. Okay, so now everybody's talking about Bronny James. He had a 40-inch vertical leap, and he shot, I believe, 17 for 22 at one spot. He shot, I think, 18 for 25 when they were running from spot to spot. And everybody's talking about, oh, he killed the combine. Now, shout out to Bronny James because he has enough heart to play in the 5-on-5s the next day. But I don't want to hear about what guys are doing in the vertical leap and what guys are doing in the shuttles when they're just running back and forth, and what guys are doing when they're shooting against nobody, running at 20%. Okay, those are not NBA types of situations. And I hate when they do this because then all of a sudden guys rise up the draft board. This is not a football combine. Okay, and I hate when guys go work out for teams the same way. Agents of their players are high-level players say, oh, my guy doesn't want to go up against anybody. He'll come, you can meet him, he'll do a workout, he'll shoot some jumpers, he'll show you how tall he is. What? What? Dude, we know Bronny James can jump already. We see the tape, right? I mean, the 40-inch vertical is great, okay? I think, last combine, Derek Lively, he was with Clutch, and Clutch had a workout where NBA scouts come to watch, and their guys are again playing against a cone, right? Making drills against anybody, dunking and doing. And I think Lively at one point hit 21 out of 25 from three, okay? Do you see Derek Lively shooting three-pointers in the NBA? I repeat, do you see Derek Lively shooting three-pointers in the NBA? You don't. So I don't care about what a guy does with no defense against a cone. I don't care what a guy does jumping up in the air, okay, and touching the vertical leap height um, thing. I mean, I just don't, right? Because ultimately, you have to play the game. We know LeBron James' son is a great athlete. We know, Reed Shepard can shoot open jump shots. Okay, we know that. We've watched the tape. We've watched these guys play all year long. Okay, I want to see guys play 5-on-5, whether it be at the combine or whether it be when you bring in guys for individual workouts. And if a guy is not willing to play, I'm not drafting him. I'm just not drafting a guy off of measurables. I'm not. I'm not drafting a guy off of measurables because at the end of the day, that stuff has to translate. Again, translate into gameplay. It has to translate. It has to translate. Guys come in. Can you imagine? I got the first, second, third, fourth. I'm a lottery guy, and I say I want to bring your guy in for a workout, and the agent says, "Yeah, but we won't compete and play against any other players. But we'll come in. We'll do the vertical jump. We'll do the shuttles. We'll shoot jump shots. You can see." Can you imagine? If you a GM or president of operations, somebody telling you that, I don't want your player. I want guys who want to compete, and I want guys where I can see how it translates in the game. Okay? So stop writing about how Bronny James had a 40-inch vertical leap. We know he can jump. We've been watching him jump forever. Stop telling me about that. All right? Let's see what he does in the 5-on-5s when they play the game, basketball. Okay? And then we can have a true assessment on how a guy plays, right? You have to be able, it has to translate. All your athleticism or your whatever you want to call it has to translate into a game situation, okay? So we need to figure this out. We need to fix this. Guys need to play. I like guys that play. I like guys that compete. And when guys are playing and competing, those are the differentiators. All right. So shout out to all the guys who go to the combine and not only do they get the measurables done, but they also go compete. Shout out to the draft picks who want to go to different teams that are potentially drafting them and they want to go compete. Those are the players I want. I want dogs. I want dogs. Those are the guys I want. So just want to talk about that. Let's keep the measurables. Let's keep that in perspective. And by the way, we wish, no hate to Bronny James. We just use him as an example because obviously they're talking about his measurables. But we wish him the best and we wish that he continues to excel and he's, does what he needs to do to hopefully get himself on. Well, not hopefully, we know some NBA team's going to take him. So now, let me switch gears a little bit here. And I've been having conversations with various people about this, and I know everybody has some take on it, okay? There was this huge rap battle. Kendrick Lamar, Drake, big thing. They're asking everybody about it. Who won, who won, who won, who won, who won. It felt earlier in... So first of all, I don't like it at all because my concern is, it's good for the sport of rap, right? If you kept it on wax, but now somebody got shot outside of Drake's house, one of his security guards, because a crazy fan or somebody tried to get into Drake's home. And then, Cruz, meet Cruz. There's a lot of insults being hurled back and forth. And my issue is, another one of my issues with it is beef, we keep it on wax, but everybody's lying, right? Like, if you're going to beef, let's have some level of like credibility. This guy's saying this guy's a pedophile. This guy's saying this guy's baby is another man's baby. It's just all these accusations being hurled back and forth at each other. And a lot of it is just fake accusations, right? And they are wrapping the accusations as if they're factual. So I don't love that. I love the ingenuity that both guys had, playing chess as opposed to checkers in terms of how they were releasing, when they were releasing, the idiosyncratic things they did to make it cool. That's all cool, right? But my concern is safety. So what happens now if Kendrick Lamar and Drake are in the same place, Cruz are in the same place? Because it's not always about the artist fighting, but it's Cruz and sometimes even periphery people that think they're down or not down or part of it, or when now all of a sudden if Kendrick was in Canada or Drake is in LA, people feel obligated to let Drake understand that he can't come to LA or Kendrick in Canada, and then all of a sudden something violent happens and somebody loses their life. So that's my concern about it. I don't want to sound like, the adult in the room, right, always trying to chastise and, et cetera. But I'm concerned about that. But that being said, Started out, everybody was like, Drake was winning. The push-ups record, flew up the charts. It was successful. Euphoria came out. It seemed like by Kendrick Lamar was okay. And then Kendrick Lamar seemingly, to most people, then demolished Drake. Okay, demolished Drake. And then the KO punch, the knockout punch was the Like Us record, which is everywhere around the world. And it was ironic because everybody was saying Drake songs are songs that people want to dance to in the club. And Kendrick Lamar couldn't make those records, and he made the Like Us record, and now everybody's going nuts. And so now Kendrick Lamar seemingly is the undisputed winner of the battle. So tell me your thoughts. Who you think won, Kendrick or Drake? Now that then brings up another question. You ready? So in history, every huge artist always has something that happens to start, and not even precipitate, but to start, right, their descent from the top level, right? At some point, Michael Jackson had to descend. Listen, no matter who the artist is, there's something that happens that starts the descent, okay? Jay-Z was at the top of the list at one point. Ether came out. That, to me, had a significant effect on him being the Don, the guy, you know what I mean? The Teflon guy that was at the top of the game. Nas came with Ether. And look, Jay-Z has been a great businessman and has had success. But there was at one point he was Drake, right? He was Taylor Swift. And then he came down, right? And by the way, interestingly enough, let's see what happens with Taylor Swift, because Taylor Swift is another one of these huge artists. And at some point, what happens? Taylor Swift she's at the top of the game. What happens to Taylor Swift where she gets knocked off that perch? Who knows what it is? Sometimes it's scandal. Sometimes the music is just no longer as good anymore. Sometimes, who knows what it is? But it's that for Drake. Drake is the number one guy in the rap game. Indisputably number one guy. Michael Jordan or LeBron James of rap, mainstream. He makes great music, undeniably great music. But man, and he's had some issues, right? With the Ghost Rider issue when he got exposed for having Ghost Riders and all that kind of stuff. But none of that stuff has been able to really tarnish his level of greatness. Okay. But is this it? Is this the end of Drake as we know him? Is this the end of Drake as we know him? That's the real question, okay? And by the way, shout out to Kendrick Lamar from this perspective. There was always, people said it was the big three: Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Drake. Drake was at the top of the big three, but there were two other guys that were at a high level. Kendrick Lamar zeroed in on both of them, right? J. Cole stepped aside, and then he went at Drake. Can you imagine? That's like when you go to the park, and it's one guy that's the guy at the park that's dominating the game, and you bring the ball to him and say, check up. And then let's go one-on-one, and I'm going to show you I'm better than you. That's what it is. That's like you got a bully on the block, and you walk up to the bully and you say, I'm tired of you bullying me, bro. Let's fight one-on-one. And you beat him. Kendrick Lamar went to the top, right, and knocked the top guy off. So shout out to Kendrick Lamar. That's savage, by the way. So now, again, is this the end of Drake as we know him? The great artist, the top rapper in the game, phenomenal chart success, all of that. Does Drake come down from here? I would love to hear your feedback, your comments. Let me know what you think. But crazy battle. I hope everybody stays safe. First and foremost, I hope everybody stays safe and leave it on wax, because obviously then you got periphery beef, Rick Ross with Drake, obviously. So that's a whole nother beef, which I don't know if that one is as serious, obviously, but it's just a lot of stuff that's going on around this, and you just hope everybody stays safe and everybody's good. But is this the end of Drake as we know him? That's the question. All right, people. So look, as always, can't wait to watch the games tonight. It's always great to talk to you. Give me your comments. Give me your feedback. Subscribe. Show love. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. Love.